Publication, Collective and State Violence, The Construction of a National Identity from Empire to Nation State, was commissioned by the Zorian Institute in 2016. While many of the case studies presented in this book have been studied individually, this book is the first of its kind to explore all of these cases under the umbrella of collective and state violence, from the Ottoman Empire to Turkish Republic all the way to modern day. It really isn't an easy task to observe all of these acts of violence circulating throughout Turkish society for over a full century. But with the support of the book's co-editors, Professor Stefan Asturian and Professor Raymond Kevorkian, this comprehensive volume features the original work of 16 prominent authors of varying backgrounds and expertise. So within their respective fields, each of the contributors have looked at the outbursts of state or collective violence occurring throughout the history of the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. Some contributors have observed phenomena targeting a particular group, while others have sought to detect the recurrent links between the ongoing acts of violence in the region.
In a secular country, there is no difference about Muslim or non-Muslim, about a religion difference. Everybody is a citizen. But in Turkey, it was not conceived like that. A non-Muslim was not considered as a true Turk, but as a non-Muslims, which is what brings back us to the Ottoman Empire, where they were treated differently as a second-class citizen and so on.
Սեղանը տրված էր հետևյալն է, կամ թուրքերը պիտի շարունակեին իրենց ծրագիրը մշակել, այսինքն թրքական պետությունը ստեղծել, մոռնալով գայսրական մոդելը, որ տարերե ի վեր գոյություն ուներ, եւ ասիգա կնշանակեր արդեն ոչ թուրք խումբերը սիստեմեն դուրս քշել եւ դուրս քշելը անպայման չէր նշանակեր բնաճնչել սիստեմատիկ ձևով.
When exploring the many cases of state violence in Turkey's history, it all comes back to the construction of a rigid Turkish identity that emerged in the second half of the 19th century. This identity was based on religion, ethnicity, and a loyalty to the state. Those that didn't fit this definition of a Turk were then deemed internal enemies, both by the state and by the public at large. By considering non-Turkish minorities as enemies, this then justified violence and mass extermination against several minority groups over the past century and beyond.
You know, at the very least, 2/3 of the Armenian people live outside what is left of the historic Armenian homeland, since about 82-83% lies now in Turkey.
In the Middle East, we are in a situation of very dense war intensity, more than in any other part of the world. And all this has, of course, to do with past violence, with past pattern of violence that were not named and shamed, and for this reason, even partly they were seen as successful, and for this reason, yeah, sure, violence today in that region has a lot to do with modern history in that region.
I think that we should see what happened in the Ottoman Empire in the First World War as more encompassing than simply the Armenian genocide, that there's more to it than that, and it includes more different ethnic groups, the main point being that they were non-Muslim, sometimes even Yazidis were being targeted during that time. And there was cooperation between the various Christian groups, the Armenians and the Assyrians, the Yazidis and the Assyrians. And this meant that we have something that is more encompassing, more evil actually than simply the targeting of one Christian group, the Armenians.
So coming back together to today, where we have a more and more Islamic government, so as far as non-Muslims are concerned, the problem is still the same. It changed a little bit because today the numbers are not there. Demographically, it's a non-existent community. We are speaking about altogether maybe about 100,000 non-Muslims in a country of 78 million. So demographically, they are not there. And furthermore, they are perhaps discriminated on a positive way. I mean, today it's good for the picture of Turkey to represent it as a multicultural country if you have a non-Muslim in a high-level bureaucracy status.
Collective and State Violence in Turkey is truly a unique publication. The book looks at specific cases that have yet to be examined through the prism of Turkey's collective violence, and it is a must-read for understanding the century-old ideology behind some of Turkey's recent questionable human rights actions. The 2017 law granting its citizens to act without impunity against the supposed enemy of the state, violence against the Kurdish population, Turkey's involvement in the Syrian civil war, and the mass persecution of journalists, teachers, and politicians, for example. This distinctive book explores violence in Turkey from the Ottoman Empire all the way to present day. To support this initiative, we ask that you order your copy of the book today by visiting our website at www.zorianinstitute.org.